In this video, we pay tribute to the legendary wrestlers we've lost in recent years, celebrating their immense impact on the wrestling world. We also bring you heartfelt updates about Joe Hendry, whose recent news has deeply moved fans everywhere. Join us as we honor their remarkable lives and lasting legacies. Don't forget to subscribe and help keep their inspiring stories alive for future generations. Jorge Gonzalez, born on January 31st, 1966, in Carlos Pellegrini, Argentina, was a towering presence in both basketball and professional wrestling. Standing at a staggering 7 feet 7 inches tall, Gonzalez remains one of the tallest athletes ever to step into a wrestling ring. Before finding fame in wrestling, Gonzalez pursued a career in professional basketball. He played in Argentina and was even drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA. However, knee injuries and mobility challenges due to his height limited his success on the court. This led him to the world of professional wrestling in the late 1980s, where his size and imposing figure quickly drew attention. Gonzalez began his wrestling career in World Championship Wrestling, WCW, performing under the name El Gigante. He soon transitioned to the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, where he became widely known as Giant Gonzalez. He made a dramatic debut in 1993 and was thrust into a major storyline with The Undertaker, culminating in a memorable clash at WrestleMania 9. Despite his larger-than-life image, Gonzalez's in-ring mobility was hampered by his size, and his wrestling skills were often criticized. Injuries further limited his career, and he eventually retired from wrestling in the mid-1990s. In his post-wrestling years, Gonzalez faced serious health issues related to gigantism and complications from his extraordinary height. Sadly, though his wrestling tenure was brief, Jorge Gonzalez left a lasting impression as one of the most visually striking figures in the industry. His legacy endures as a symbol of how sheer presence can captivate audiences even when wrestling ability is constrained. Crash Holly, born Michael John Lockwood on August 25th, 1971 in Brooklyn, New York, was a beloved professional wrestler best known for his time in the WWF, now WWE, during the late 1990s and early 2000s. With a mix of high-flying athleticism, comedic timing, and an underdog spirit, Crash carved out a unique legacy in the chaotic and entertaining hardcore division. Standing at just over 6 feet, but billing himself as a super heavyweight, Crash embraced his character with unmatched enthusiasm, often dragging a scale to the ring to prove his weight. His most memorable success came as a multiple-time WWF Hardcore Champion, a title notorious for its 24/7 rule, allowing the belt to change hands at any time and anywhere. Crash thrived in this unpredictable environment, delivering hilarious and action-packed moments against the likes of Taz, the Big Boss Man, and the Godfather. His involvement helped elevate the division and made it one of the most talked about parts of WWF programming at the time. He also contributed to the tag team scene, sharing memorable moments with the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Tragically, Crash Holly, due to suicide by drug overdose and alcohol poisoning. His shocked the wrestling world and underscored the often overlooked mental health and substance abuse struggles faced by many performers. Crash's passing led to renewed discussions about the toll wrestling can take on its stars, especially after the spotlight fades. Despite his untimely, Crash Holly remains fondly remembered for his commitment to entertaining fans and his larger-than-life personality. His legacy continues as a symbol of both joy in the ring and the importance of supporting mental health in the wrestling industry. Kristen Abel, 1984 to 2016, was a gifted professional wrestler whose impact on the independent wrestling scene remains memorable. Born in the United States, she embarked on her wrestling journey driven by a deep passion for the sport. From early on, Kristen dedicated herself to rigorous training, sharpening her skills to compete at a high level. She made her wrestling debut in the early 2000s, quickly catching the attention of fans and peers alike with her impressive athleticism and undeniable charisma. Throughout her career, Kristen showcased remarkable versatility, competing in numerous independent promotions where she earned respect for her high-energy, engaging matches. She had a special talent for connecting with the audience, drawing them into every moment of her performance. Her commitment to continually improving her craft was clear, making her a beloved figure within the wrestling community. Sadly, Kristen's promising career and life were tragically cut short when her sudden deeply affected the wrestling world, prompting many colleagues and fans to share their grief alongside heartfelt memories of her talent, spirit, and the joy she brought to the ring. Despite the brevity of her career, Kristen Abel left an enduring legacy as a dedicated athlete who inspired those around her. Her story also highlights the struggles and pressures faced by professional wrestlers, underscoring the critical importance of mental health awareness within the industry. Today, Kristen's memory lives on not only through the matches she fought and the fans she touched, but also as a symbol of perseverance and passion. Her legacy continues to inspire aspiring wrestlers who look up to her as a shining example of dedication and heart in the world of professional wrestling. Balls Mahoney, born Jonathan Reckner on April 11, 1972, in Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey, was a professional wrestler best known for his influential role in Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, during the 1990s. He became a hardcore wrestling icon, famous for his wild brawling style, resilience, and trademark steel chair, which he swung with reckless abandon in brutal matches. Mahoney began wrestling in the late 1980s, initially competing under various gimmicks in independent circuits. He had brief runs in the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, as Zonta Klaus, and in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, SMW, as Boo Bradley, where he worked alongside stars like Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch, Sonny. However, it was in ECW that he truly made his mark. Joining ECW in 1997, Reckner adopted the Balls Mahoney persona, perfectly fitting the promotion's extreme and chaotic style. He quickly became a fan favorite for his fearless willingness to endure punishment and engage in hardcore matches filled with weapons, blood, and high-risk spots. ECW crowds would enthusiastically chant "Balls" whenever he delivered his signature steel chair shots, a testament to his popularity. Mahoney also formed the hardcore tag team, the Hardcore Chair Swingin' Freaks, with Axel Rotten. Although they never won the ECW Tag Team Championship, their wild, intense matches left a lasting impact on the division. After ECW folded in 2001, Mahoney wrestled in various independent promotions and returned to WWE during its ECW revival in the mid-2000s. Despite WWE's more restrained environment, he continued to showcase his hardcore roots. Balls Mahoney, just one day after turning 44. His legacy remains deeply connected to the hardcore wrestling movement and ECW's gritty spirit, remembered as a fearless performer who gave everything to entertain fans. Salvatore Bellomo, born on June 18, 1951, was a respected and charismatic figure in professional wrestling whose career spanned several decades. Rising to prominence in the 1970s and 1980s, Bellomo made a significant impact in various wrestling promotions, most notably the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, WWF. His engaging personality and dynamic wrestling style quickly won him a devoted fan base. Bellomo was known for his versatility in the ring, seamlessly adapting to different wrestling styles. His agility and technical skills allowed him to compete against some of the biggest names in wrestling history, earning admiration from fans and peers alike. Beyond his in-ring abilities, Bellomo was recognized for his colorful character, work, and passionate performances, which left a lasting impression on audiences around the world. Throughout his career, Bellomo was not only a skilled competitor, but also a dedicated mentor. He took an active role in training and guiding aspiring wrestlers, sharing his knowledge and experience to help them succeed in the demanding world of professional wrestling. His commitment to developing new talent underscored his deep love for the sport and his desire to give back to the wrestling community. Sadly, Salvatore Bellomo. However, his legacy endures through the countless stories shared by those who knew him and the many wrestlers he inspired. Bellomo's passion, dedication, and contributions to the wrestling industry have ensured that his influence will be remembered long after his final match. Fans and wrestlers continue to honor his memory, celebrating the mark he left on sports entertainment. Bruiser Brody, born Frank Donald Goodish, was a legendary professional wrestler whose fierce style and wild persona made him one of wrestling's most unforgettable figures. Towering over 6 feet tall, Brody was a powerful force in the ring, known for his intense brawling and unpredictable aggression. His matches often spilled beyond the ropes into chaotic, no-holds-barred battles that captivated fans and set him apart from other wrestlers of his era. Brody built his career across many wrestling territories, including the United States, Japan, and Puerto Rico. He became a major star in promotions like World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW, the American Wrestling Association, AWA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW. His legendary feuds with icons such as Abdullah the Butcher, Stan Hansen, and the Von Erich family are still celebrated for their brutal intensity and raw emotion. What made Brody truly stand out was his rebellious nature and refusal to follow the traditional wrestling script. Known as a maverick, he insisted on doing things his own way, both inside and outside the ring. This fierce independence often put him at odds with promoters, but earned him deep respect from fellow wrestlers who admired his authenticity and toughness. Tragically, Bruiser Brody's life was cut short at just 42 years old, shocking the wrestling world. Despite his untimely, his influence continues to resonate. Brody is widely credited with pioneering hardcore wrestling, inspiring future generations to adopt his wild, brawling style. His impact on professional wrestling remains significant, and his legacy was honored through multiple posthumous Hall of Fame inductions, ensuring that Bruiser Brody's name will never be forgotten. Miss Elizabeth, born Elizabeth Ann Hewlett on November 19, 1960, was a pioneering figure in professional wrestling whose elegance and presence left a lasting mark on the industry. Elizabeth began her career in the mid-1980s as a wrestling manager, debuting in World Championship Wrestling at WCW before becoming widely known as Miss Elizabeth in the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, now WWE. Her sophisticated and glamorous persona stood out in the gritty world of wrestling, making her an instant standout. However, it was her partnership with Macho Man Randy Savage that cemented her legendary status. As Randy Savage's manager and on-screen wife, Miss Elizabeth added a unique dimension to his character. Her calm, graceful demeanor contrasted perfectly with Savage's wild, intense persona, creating a captivating dynamic that enhanced their storylines. Together, they were involved in some of wrestling's most memorable and emotional moments, making their pairing one of the most iconic in wrestling history. Beyond her time with Savage, Miss Elizabeth's role was instrumental in shaping the role of women in wrestling, particularly as managers who could influence storylines beyond just being eye candy. After leaving WWF, she continued to work in the wrestling business, including a return to WCW, influencing a new generation of female managers and personalities. Miss Elizabeth's untimely in 2003 due to acute toxicity from a combination of prescription drugs and alcohol was a heartbreaking loss to the wrestling community. Despite her tragic passing, she is remembered with great respect and affection. Her legacy lives on as a trailblazer who brought grace, depth, and emotion to professional wrestling, forever changing how female managers are perceived in the sport. Juan Manuel Rodriguez Carrillo, better known as Bestia Salvaje, was a celebrated Mexican luchador born on February 11, 1962. As a second-generation wrestler, he carried on the family legacy, being the son of the legendary Espectro II. Wrestling ran deep in his family, with his brother competing under the name Corazon Salvaje and his brother-in-law known as Charrito de Oro. Bestia Salvaje rose to prominence during the 1980s and 1990s, primarily wrestling for Empresa Mexicana de Lucha Libre, EMLL, which later became Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, CMLL. He was widely recognized for his powerful in-ring presence and technical skill, which earned him a dedicated fan base. One of the highlights of his career was his role in the infamous stable Los Talibanes, alongside Emilio Charles Jr. and Scorpio Jr. Together, they became one of the most feared factions in Mexican wrestling. Throughout his career, Bestia Salvaje engaged in memorable rivalries with top luchadors such as Ringo Mendoza, Mano Negra, and Hector Garza. These feuds showcased his versatility and ability to tell gripping stories inside the ring, further cementing his reputation as a top-tier performer. Among his accolades, Bestia Salvaje won the prestigious CMLL World Tag Team Championship twice with Scorpio Jr., demonstrating their strong chemistry as a duo. He also captured the CMLL World Trios Championship alongside Emilio Charles Jr. and Sangre Chicana, highlighting his success in both singles and team competition. Bestia Salvaje's last match took place in January 2008, just 2 months before his untimely passing at the age of 43. His contributions to Lucha Libre have left an enduring impact on the sport, inspiring future generations of Mexican wrestlers and fans alike. Joe Hendry, born on November 19, 1960, Elizabeth Ann Hewlett entered the world in a quiet corner of Indiana, a place far removed from the roaring arenas and bright lights that would later define her life. Yet, from those humble beginnings emerged a woman whose presence would captivate millions and whose name, Miss Elizabeth, would become synonymous with grace, elegance, and groundbreaking influence in professional wrestling. Elizabeth's story is not simply one of beauty or fame, but one of resilience, pioneering spirit, and the subtle power of presence. Her journey through the volatile, testosterone-fueled world of 1980s and 1990s wrestling was like a breath of fresh air, a poised, calming influence amid chaos, a sophisticated counterbalance to the wild personalities that dominated the ring. Her debut in the wrestling world came in the mid-1980s, when she first stepped into the limelight as a manager in World Championship Wrestling, WCW. At a time when female roles in wrestling were often limited to brief appearances or mere decoration, Elizabeth brought something different, a refined glamour and genuine personality that transcended the traditional expectations. But it was her move to the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, now WWE, and her partnership with Macho Man Randy Savage that truly immortalized her legacy. In the birth of an icon, Miss Elizabeth and the Macho Man. When Elizabeth became the manager and on-screen wife of Randy Savage, something extraordinary happened. Their dynamic was electric, a masterful blend of passion, tension, and vulnerability that instantly hooked audiences. Randy Savage's explosive, unpredictable persona, marked by his distinctive, raspy voice, colorful costumes, and intense charisma, could have easily overshadowed anyone. Yet Elizabeth stood strong, her serene and composed demeanor creating a magnetic contrast that enhanced his character. Picture the scene, a packed arena under glaring spotlights, the crowd buzzing with anticipation as Macho Man strides to the ring, flanked by his elegant manager, Miss Elizabeth. She wore a shimmering gown or a poised, businesslike suit, always immaculate and radiant. Her calm eyes seemed to anchor the chaos around her, and the subtle exchanges between the two told stories more powerful than words. Elizabeth was the rock to Savage's storm, the emotional core of their storyline. Their relationship wasn't just a gimmick, it was a storyline infused with real emotional depth. From moments of tenderness backstage to dramatic confrontations in the ring, their chemistry was undeniable. The infamous cream of the crop era in the WWF saw some of the most memorable matches and segments featuring the duo, including Savage's epic battles for the WWF Championship. A new kind of woman in wrestling, Miss Elizabeth redefined what it meant to be a female manager in professional wrestling. She wasn't just an accessory to the male superstars or eye candy for the crowd. Her role was substantive, contributing to character development and storytelling. She brought dignity and respect to a role often dismissed or underappreciated. During a time when wrestling's portrayal of women was often limited or stereotypical, Elizabeth carved a path for future female managers and personalities. Her influence can be seen in how later women in wrestling evolved to have stronger, more complex roles. She proved that women could command attention not just through physicality, but through emotional connection, charisma, and subtlety. Her career also included a notable return to WCW, where she continued to work behind the scenes and occasionally on screen. Even outside the WWF, her presence was a beacon for professionalism and class in a sport that could be rough and ruthless. Trials beyond the spotlight. While her professional life was marked by success and adoration, Elizabeth's personal life was fraught with challenges. Her relationship with Randy Savage, while captivating on screen, had its complexities. The couple married in real life in 1984, but their relationship experienced ups and downs, eventually ending in divorce. Behind the scenes, Elizabeth faced struggles that the public rarely saw. The demanding lifestyle of wrestling, combined with personal hardships, took a toll on her. Despite these struggles, she remained a respected figure within the wrestling community, known for her kindness and professionalism. A heartbreaking loss, an enduring legacy. On May 1st, 2003, the wrestling world was shaken by the news of Miss Elizabeth's untimely passing. At just 42 years old, she died tragically from acute toxicity caused by a combination of prescription drugs and alcohol. The news was met with shock, sorrow, and an outpouring of grief from fans, colleagues, and wrestlers alike. Her death was a stark reminder of the pressures and pitfalls that many in the wrestling industry face, a tragic loss of a woman who had given so much to the sport. Yet, even in death, Elizabeth's legacy only grew stronger. Wrestling tributes honored her grace and pioneering spirit, ensuring that new generations would remember her not just as a beautiful face, but as a trailblazer who changed the game. Today, Miss Elizabeth is revered as one of the most iconic figures in wrestling history. Her impact transcends the ring, serving as a symbol of elegance and emotional depth in an often brash and loud industry. She opened doors for women to play meaningful roles, influencing countless female managers, wrestlers, and personalities who followed in her footsteps. Remembering Miss Elizabeth. To understand Miss Elizabeth's significance, one must look beyond the glittering costumes and bright arena lights. Her true power lay in her ability to connect, to convey complex emotions with a glance, to calm chaos with a presence, and to elevate a sport that thrives on spectacle into something with heart. Her story is a bittersweet tapestry of triumph and tragedy, of beauty and pain, of strength and vulnerability. From the quiet halls of Indiana to the roaring crowds of the WWF and WCW arenas, Elizabeth Ann Hewlett's journey remains an enduring testament to the difference one person can make. She showed the wrestling world that women could be more than just background figures. They could be the emotional soul of a story, the heart behind the spectacle, and a lasting legacy that continues to inspire.